Hey guys, Stuart here with High Speed Welding. I'm here to tell you about our Ryder Rack bolt. So the Ryder Rack bolt is a solution for our Ryder Rack weld if you cannot come to our location for the installation. Now first things first, when you get your bolt, check the box for damage, because if the outside of the box is damaged, more than likely the rack could be damaged inside. So in regards to filing a claim, it's best to let the truck driver know, or whoever the last person to handle the rack is, that the rack may be damaged. So inspect the rack before you sign off on any paperwork. So let's go ahead and dive into the box. We'll check out the contents, and John and I are going to go ahead and get this thing installed. So now that we got the box open, you want to go ahead and check for contents. Of course, we've got the back half of the rack here, the front half of the rack on the outsides. This box here is your cross members, your forward cross member, your middle cross member, and the rear cross member is inside this box. And right here you have all your verticals, also known as legs. Now this box in the middle is your bed rails. So check the box for contents, make sure you have everything, and we'll go ahead and keep things going. Alright, so opening up this box, you're going to have your verticals, and you can tell the fronts from the back because the fronts have the stickers, and it's going to only go one way. You want the more pad towards the back of the rack. Alright, now that you got everything out of the box, we're going to go ahead and let you know what tools you'll need for the project. If the thread locker is not already on the bolts, we'll supply this for you. Also within your hardware, you'll find this countersink as well. You'll need that. But other than these two devices, you'll need some tools here, which I'll go through in detail. This is a 5/16 Allen wrench. We've got a 5/16 Allen wrench on a ratchet drive, so you can adapt it to one of these with this fitting here. We've got a 1/2 inch socket. We've got the number 3 Phillips with the driver in. We've got a 7/16 open-ended wrench. Got a 1/2 inch wrench and 2 3/4 inch wrenches. On the drill bits, we got a 1/8 inch bit for the pilot. We've got a 5/16. We've got a 9/32. You also want to use a Sharpie, a tape measure, and some sort of bin to carry around your hardware. We use multiple drills and multiple drivers to help make the installation easier as well. What I'm doing here, I'm going to go ahead and put some Loctite on these bolts. That way they'll hold in when we secure the rack. Doesn't take a whole lot, just get them on the threads. And be sure to hold the rack in place. What we're going to do is go ahead and install the legs, and John's going to help us figure out which leg goes where. We got the sticker on that, so that's a front leg, right?
So we'll go just like that.
Alright, so the way it sits in the box, you can see those blocks on the end there, that's the front of the rack. And then these pads here, they point back. We've got the stickers on the front leg. It's always good to make sure your threads go in. You don't want to force these in. It's stainless threads on aluminum threads, so you want to make sure that you get it going first before you tighten her down hard. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to utilize the lid for our assembly. We don't want to set the rack on the concrete and get it all scratched up. So we're going to take the front of the rack out, spin it around, and then we'll slide the back of the rack into the front. Careful.
wiggle this thing back and forth until we get it in. Now we just put the screws in. Okay, and now what you can do with this, install one of your crossbars. So now what you can do is take this, and while you're assembling the other one, you can set it down. See, that's all it needs. I mean, you can,
Alright, so these pins here are for the removable rear bar. You want to make sure you keep these greased up quite frequently because the dissimilar metals can cause some corrosion and it seize up on you over time. So make sure these are greased before you put them in. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and install our front bar. These noodles here are designed to break up the wind as you're going down the road to reduce wind noise. So we got it a little favored on the bottom side, and that's the side you want to put it on the bottom side. So let's set this up here. On these front ones, you'll need to use a Allen key to turn these in. A little tougher to get to. Alright, at this point we went ahead and got some scrap cardboard. What you could probably do is use your box. We just didn't want to have to destroy the box for packaging purposes. But we're going to go ahead and flip the rack over on the cardboard and do the bed rails. Now, something to keep in mind, the Ryder Rack BOLT's designed for different vehicles. You know, you can see the product description on what trucks your rack fits to. So this is where the customization comes into part. It's going to require a tape measure and some drilling, so this part is important, so pay attention. Alright, here are the bed rails, and you can see that there's two different ends on them. The end with the radius like that goes towards the back, and the end with the notch goes towards the front. So what you want to do is go ahead and get your bed rails set, get the length straight from front to back. So we're going to take a tape measure to our truck. We're going to measure the inside width of the truck, front and back. Alright, now that we got the bed rails set in place with the inside of the angle point towards the end of the truck, we got these radiuses towards the back. John and I are going to measure the truck bed front and back and match these bed rails to the truck before we do our drilling. Alright, so it looks like we got 63 and 1/8 at the front and 61 and 1/2. So let's go ahead and see what we got back here. We got 61 and 1/2. Alright, I got 61 and 1/2 and my plate is all the way on the outside.
So is this one.
Alright. Yep. Alright, so an easy way to get this front one centered up right is to get both of your bed rails flush with the outside. and then take a measurement. On the outside of this angle, I've got 62.5. We need 63 1/8, so
5/8. So we need to go 5/16 each way.
sounds good.
So I'll move.
You move first, John.
All right, you tell me when to stop.
That's good. All right, so we got 63 1/8. I've got about 3/8 to the outside. How are you looking over there? 3/8 to the outside. All right, so what we'll do now is we'll mark our holes from the bottom, get this centered up just right. We'll drill our holes, countersink from the top, bolt it on, and set it on the truck.
Drill your hole on the front and slide it past. Drill your hole in the back. All right, so now that we have our holes marked with a Sharpie, we'll just go through with this pilot bit. Basically an 1/8 inch drill bit will work. You'll slide it past your pads, so that way you can drill your front. And then in the back, you'll be able to drill the ones up here. Now you'll slide this past so you can get to the other ones. Now after you have them all pre-drilled, come back with a 9/32 drill bit. And you're going to want to countersink the bottom side of this angle. So make sure that how we marked it before, how we marked the holes, that's the side that you want to countersink. Because these are going to go through, and the plate, this will bolt through that, and you'll put the cap nut on top of that. So best thing to do is take one of your 1/4-20 screws when you're countersinking, just so you can use it as like a measure. And you go ahead and countersink these. You'll keep countersinking it till that head sits flush with the plate. Just like that.
Alright, so now that we got some Loctite on our bolts, let's go ahead and get this rail installed. Alright, to finish this off, we've got a flat washer, a lock washer, and an acorn nut. Flat washer goes on first, along with the lock washer, then the acorn nut. Once we get this threaded, we'll come back with a number 3 Phillips and a 7/16 wrench. Alright, let's go ahead and do the other side. Alright, now that we got the bed rails installed, John and I are going to spin this thing around and flip it over set it on the truck and then we'll show you how to install it.
All right, now that you have the truck rack on the truck itself, you're going to take these plates that are provided for you, the non-drill mount, and basically you're going to try and scoot this pad all the way as far as possible forward. You know, on these trucks, it'll only allow your hand to get behind to a certain point. So you want to try and scoot these as close as possible. And from there, you'll take your Sharpie, you're going to put this plate flush with the bottom, and you're going to mark those holes. Now you'll take your pilot bit. You're going to go ahead and drill those. Now you go through with your 5/16. Take your 2 bolts with your washers. Plate up underneath, line those holes up. Now you'll need 2 more washers and 2 nylocks. All right, now you'll take your 1/2" wrench and your 1/2" socket, and you're going to go ahead and tighten these down nice and snug. So here we are back at the back of the rack now. You want to make sure that your plate will fit. You know, it won't go any further than there, so you know, give yourself a little bit of room. So that's basically where the farthest you can go back. So you're going to take your plate, put it to the bottom edge of that angle, and mark your holes. All right, again, you're going to take your pilot bit. Now your 5/16. All right, again, you're going to do the same thing. 2 bolts, 2 washers. Line your bolt up with your plate hole. Use your 1/2" wrench and your 1/2" socket.